What up? It's your boy, the Incredible Man. And yes, I am back at it again. And you can tell from the excitement and joy and wonder on my face that I just watched something epic, wonderful, fantastic, glorious, memorable, every super freaking word that you can think of. And that is Black Clover episode 158. And oh my gosh, they knew what we wanted. They knew what we wanted after this whole training arc. They knew exactly how to reel us in. Let's get it, man.
I don't think I do it good, no, I think I do it great. They would do it if they could, they can't do it, so they hate. Everybody wanna look, but nobody wanna play. Stealing eyes.
Oh my gosh, man. 158, and this is my review because I forgot to mention that because my mind is on some other stuff. But this is my 158 review. And oh my gosh, man. Dude, this episode was freaking fantastic. It was great for that first episode back to give us that whole post-time skip. Everything. We get to see the powers. We get to see the wonderful art and animation. We get the awesome opening and ending that I already reacted to. And we get to see the power scale, man. And it was just epic. The design of the characters, the color schemes, the animation. They hit us with the comedy yet again because that's what Black Clover brings to the table. It brings in that awesome action, but it brings in the comedy as well. The story is already jumping off and progressing wonderfully. We're getting all of that in this very first episode. It felt like it was a lot of stuff compacted into it, but they handled it overall very, very nicely. Everything was kind of spaced out, and while we were dealing with everything taking place here, some other stuff was going on at the same time, and we ended up not seeing all of it take place, but like we got to the conclusion parts of it. We got to see the main events happening, like that one dude that we see at the very beginning of the episode leaving the strong magic region and making himself to making his way to Hage Village, and he falls and collapses in front of the sister, and he says, "Lord, you know." We didn't see him make it to Hage Village, but we see him collapse in front of the sister, and he's going to get treated. That's what I'm talking about. Like, all of this other stuff was happening off the screen and off camera, but we got to see like the most impactful moments of it, and that's the glorious part because we get to deal with all of this. We see everybody talking to little Pechka and Perechka, however you want to say it, and she's talking to them and telling them that, you know, she used Undine inside of the water to see that this whole magic fortress that the Spade Kingdom is using to cross over the strong magic region is making its way, and they're using members of their region, and they're just draining all of the mana out of them. And everybody's listening, and they're trying to come up with a plan to, like, okay, yeah, sure, we'll do this and this. And in that instant, somebody leaves and zooms off and just disappears. And that is our boy Asta on the sword flying. Oh, it's so good. When I read it in the manga, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Seeing it animated, it just elevated that for me because it was so cool. And we all know that's how Asta is. Like, he sees something going on with innocent people and everything. He has to take that first step. And what I loved about this episode is because that's what they brought us. We don't get me wrong, we had action in the training arc, and you guys know how I felt about it and how I talked about it. But this is like something different. It's like we were dealing with all this stuff in the training arc, but this brought us that jam-packed action, seeing everybody post time skip. So Asta gets there to the fortress, and he is mollywopping these people. We get to see the intro. We get to see this cool new fit that Asta's rocking, and he's got the swords out here bossing it up. Still comedy, still a little comedy in there, but we see Asta putting in work, and the results of his training is legit, and it actually paid off to have him training in the Heart Kingdom, and we see him boss it up this episode. And we see that these people, they are pretty much tormented and heartbroken, and even after Asta saves them, they're still kind of in this whole little warped mentality. And that's what happens when, you know, you're in the weaker scale and you have these other people that are stronger than you, and they're tormenting you and abusing you, and you just don't have the power to defeat them. But in comes someone that does, but you're still trapped in that mentality. But to get them out of that mentality, we see Asta mollywop these people. Sure, he comes in contact with someone that has an Akuma themselves, but at the same time, it's not as strong as Asta. He hit Asta with this poison, and sure, it affects Asta because Asta was caught off guard. But he sucked all the poison out. was so good, man, and the animation was on point this episode. And Black Clover, it always does pretty decent with the animation, and sometimes like when it's heavily fight scenes, they always kind of up that animation to that next level. And this being the first episode back in the actual part of the series that's connected to the manga and not that whole training arc segment, it was nice to have that moment, man. It was so good. And we see Asta putting in work. He demolished the whole little group of people, renegade people from the Spade Kingdom that was inside this fortress. He beats everyone by himself. Then in comes Noel and Mimosa and Finneral, and we still have the jokes with Finneral because now he's engaged to Miss Finis, and we see Mimosa and Noel using their powers, and Noel still fronting out with the whole royalty thing. So it's nice to bring out the actual jokes that we know and love from the series, but to get some hardcore stuff in action along with those same jokes because we're dealing with something super heavy. And it was good, man. And I love seeing everybody post time skip. But that's not the highlight. You guys know how I love me some Luck. You know how I love me some Luck. Lolopechka told Luck and Leopold to go to the those people villages to secure their village because these people were still terrified. And they were like, well, you freed us from them, but they still occupy our village. What are we going to do? Because we can't fight them. And they were worried what's going to take place. It's asking everybody, what's going to happen? Luck and Leopold takes over and they just mollywop these people in seconds flat. And it was freaking cool because you guys know how I love Luck. But I love Leopold too. And seeing this take place, this episode, it was just kind of just to bump us back into the swing of things because we've been dealing with everything in the training arc. This gives us that whole inclusion into post time skip. We get to see what the Spade Kingdom is planning because we see that whole part with their trio that we kind of get a little information as what they're planning because they need the 2 arcane stage mages. We see their whole little ideal, and we see that I can't think of her name. Vanica, however you want to say her name. I think that's her name. I can't remember. But anyway, we see that she mentioned something about she can't wait to taste that little snack that she had saved up, and we all know that she's talking about Lolopechka. Yeah, like we just it gave us a little bit more to the story, and we got a little more information, but everything was just a nice, warm setup to get us enticed for everything that's about to take place because we've been dealing with the training arc. But now we are full-fledged into the actual Spade Kingdom arc, and it is glorious, man, and I'm loving every moment, and I'm loving these looks for everybody. Everybody looks fantastic in this whole post-time skip, man, and I love something about a time skip because you get to see new powers, you get to see new looks, you get to see new strength, you get to see a bunch of new stuff post time skip. And it's always fantastic when a time skip is done right and you get to see all the gloriousness that is done with these characters, man. And oh boy, Black Clover done it again, man. I know a lot of people weren't too keen on it from the very beginning, but over the course of time, a lot of people started to jump on that boat of Black Clover. And now is the perfect time, if you haven't seen it, to dive into it, man, because Black Clover is going off and we're dealing with some major stuff in this arc. And I didn't even talk about the most wonderful part of the whole entire episode. The moment where we go and do a wide shot outside of the little whole mobile kingdom, the little mobile fortress or whatever, and we see Asta's demon form out there in the smoke with the red eyes. Come on, man, tell me that wasn't epic. Maybe I'm too excited. Maybe I'm too hyped because I'm fumbling and bumbling over my words because it was just that epic, man. Whew, I gotta calm down. My heart's beating out fast. This was a nice episode, man, and I can't wait for next week. This is your buddy Incredible, man. Don't forget to smash the like button till you can't smash it anymore. Comment down below, and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them and subscribe, but only if you really want to, man. Remember, the anime matters, anime is greatness, and anime is life. And go to my other channel, Nothing Entertainment 3, and check out my opening reaction and ending reaction for opening and ending 13, man. Peace out.